Yo, good morning, good morning, good morning. Sorry I'm late, all you good fellow fly guys. It is afternoon and I'm just now posting. I apologize. Um, Honestly, just to be completely 100 with you this morning, I did not feel like recording, and then ended up watching some not even motivational, just some real conversations with Gary V. If you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, you should definitely check him out. And I watched the interview he had yesterday with Tony Robbins, and great interview just about gratitude, all these different types of things. You know, this is about style. But I did want to have this conversation again. I want to make sure that I'm even honing it in for myself. This focus is not just about clothes. It's not just about something superficial and saying, this is what you should go out and buy. This is what you should go out and pick up. This is what you should go out and, and obtain. Because what's trending, that this is trending Thursdays, I'm realizing on a global scale is consumerism. And consumerism devalues quality, because if you think you need more, then what ends up happening is you stop valuing and appreciating the things that actually yield and give you appreciation. What do I mean? If I'm talking to somebody and they say, you know, I spent $5,000 on this piece. There's a great video by Gentleman's Gazette by Ralph Schneider. I think that's what he prefers to be called. I apologize if I messed up his name. You'll see his name in the comment box. Who's talking about the difference between fused half canvas and full canvas garments, right? And one of the things that he was talking about was the yield that a quality garment will actually provide you long term. And this is one of the things that I've kind of talked about. If you buy something that is cheap from one of these high fashion, quick turnover stores, you're going to get it for 30, 40 bucks, 150 bucks, and that's great for the now. So you wear that out and you spend $150, and I even have friends who will say, I spent $150 on this and I wore it out, but I probably won't wear it again. It was just something that I needed for the moment. And for me, that just doesn't make any sense. That's a poor investment. You wouldn't do that in your job. You wouldn't do that on the stock market for any other investments that you're making. So why are you doing that in something that is a calling card, is a representation, is a personification, is the cover story to who you're going to be talking about? So with that whole space, I wanted to make sure that we're getting into a lot of mental reasons why we're making purchases. Why did you feel the need to go out and make this quick purchase if it wasn't going to yield you any benefit, if it wasn't going to help you out? And why are you feeling like you needed to make that purchase? Now, with that being said, when it came to gratitude for certain things, and the reason why we're talking about consumerism being a trend is because I'm seeing a lot of online entities saying these are the 5 things that you need. These are things that every man should have. And we've had this conversation. We'll keep on having this conversation, but that doesn't, you hear all those things, but it doesn't really appeal to you. And part of that is just understanding that the more things that you have, the better you feel instantaneously, but it doesn't yield appreciation, both cognitively, financially, or socially over time. So if you're making these purchases, right, you're saying, yo, I'm gonna go and buy this because everybody said I need to have these double monk straps. That's the hot new thing. And then you get the double monk straps, but you don't wear them because you've this whole time you've always liked whole cut bluchers, or you liked derbies, or you've liked cap toes, any one of those different types of things, but you preferred lace ups, right? So you went and got you some cap toed, you went and got you some brogued double monks, which I've seen, kind of dope, right? You have these shoes, but they still don't represent who you want to represent. Then why did you go out and buy them? Those weren't shoes that you needed. And people will say stuff like, you need something for a casual encounter. Well, those people don't really have a full understanding of clothing, and when it comes to a social or functional element, because you can go get some brogues and those are actually casual shoes, right? And we'll talk about this and we'll develop these things as we go through our conversation with Style Speaks. But in that same space, you're purchasing all these different types of things that don't really represent you. And if we're being clear, if you're not a sartorialist or you're not a style pupil and a person who is really a student of the historical elements of style, nobody gives a shit. Nobody really cares. They want to make sure that everything looks good. Now, it is important for you to understand construction and how these shoes are created so that you can create balance for yourself, right? We're going to talk about next week the heel or the base of the shoe, because we're going to be talking about the construction. So it's important to understand that, so you have anchoring, or you have balance, or you have lightness, and that allows you to move throughout the day. But nobody really gives a fuck about the fact that you have on brogues with a suit, because nobody's really paying attention to that on middle management, and not even really upper management in a lot of places. Like, let's just be clear. There's a few companies with old money who got old people who are 80, 90 years old, who still may be CFOs or CEOs and feel like a black man, a man is supposed to be in formal. So that means black shoes and with a gray or blue suit that are highly shined and polished. Like, that's all well and good, but we live in a society that nowadays that is really defining casual Fridays as streetwear Fridays, t-shirt, jeans, sneakers. Like, so nobody really gives a fuck about how you're dressing when it comes to the elements of formality. Now, whether that is important or not is a different conversation. I do find value in that, but that's a different conversation. You need to understand that people are trying to get you and elicit you to buy certain shit so that you can continue to consume shit. Now, again, me right now, I'm not above it. Like, I have 8 years worth of clothing now that I need to purge because it's not a representative indication of who I am, of who my identity is. And so because of that, if I'm not wearing it, or I can't fold that into the rest of my wardrobe, it doesn't need to be in it. And so now I'm having to purge my wardrobe. I'm having to clear out my space, clear out my closet. And I don't really have a whole lot of money to be spending money on re-upping and getting other different types of things. But here's the difference. I'm willing to deal with my staple wardrobe, with a minimalist wardrobe, and then be very intentional about what I'm going to build upon following that, because I have an understanding, an understanding of my image and my identity, and that reflection and that mirroring of both of those things, to the point that now, if you see me in the same thing, it's not the same thing because you haven't paid attention to the details. I may have switched up my shirt, I may have switched up my tie, my pocket square, my shoes, and the matching and the coordination that will go with that. But everything will be a complete picture. It'll be a complete cover story of who I am, so that when you read me, you see the congruence in my character. So I'm saying all that to say that we have become trendy. Our trend has now become consumerism, and we're buying bullshit, superficiality, and then trying to structure a framework and a foundation around it. It's no different than if you go get some bullshit ass shoes from one of, again, these fast fashion spaces, and then you wonder why your fucking feet hurt after 5 to 10 minutes of wearing them, because the shit was made of bullshit and it's glued together and it's falling apart and it's not really adding any structure to your foot. So now you spent $150. You thought you were catching a deal because you saw the same shoe in a qualitative space that was $1,000 or $500, and you had the money. You had the money to go make that purchase. I'm not talking to the guys who only have $100. I would tell that guy to save, maybe not for the $1,000, but for a $500 or $400 price point. But you had the money to go invest in some qualitative stuff, and you chose to go the cheap route. And the cost of that was, number one, you didn't appreciate the shit, which means you didn't take care of the shit, which means that the shit fell apart. And on the latter side, you didn't want the freedom to be accountable to care and maintain what you bought, right? Like I've told you before, it's not about what you can afford to buy. It's what you can afford to maintain. You could afford those maintenance costs and those maintenance fees, but you want it to be trendy instead of being yourself. So I would ask you, and leave these questions in the leave these answers for this question in the question box. What's motivating you to be such a consumer? When especially men's clothing doesn't really change that much, right? Men's clothing pretty much stays the same. It hasn't really changed in the last 40 or 50 years. So what are you being so drawn in and magnetized to when it comes to consumerism? Are you making these purchases because ladies are telling you that's what you need? Are you making these purchases to try to keep up with the Joneses, to try to kill the competition? Or do you feel like there's something internally that may be missing in helping you create your character? You don't even know who that character is. I'd love to hear those thoughts. Make sure you check us out every day. Sorry I'm late. Sorry I was late, but I'm here. And leave me some comments in the comment box answering those questions. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe if you're feeling the vibe. Like I told you, yeah, you're gonna get all the tactile information and all of that space or information that you can use for how to begin purchasing for your wardrobe. But you also need to know why you're making these purchases so that you see the value in what you are obtaining. Like I've said before as well, real men don't buy clothes, they own them. So own your space, own your style, and don't ever forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind, so you should always dress to express. See you tomorrow. Peace.